listeners. Welcome to the Music Festivals podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals, festival venues, and campgrounds before you go. I'm your host, Neighbor Nate, and I'm glad you're in the neighborhood. And welcome back, neighbors, to episode number 46 of the Music Festivals podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals, festival venues, and campgrounds before you go. And I'm your host, Neighbor Nate. And this week is very exciting for me because we are doing the Hookahville 60 recap. It's my favorite festival in the whole world, but this was one of the best Hookahvilles I've been to, even since Hookahville 50, when Billy Strings played, before he was the Billy Strings of today. I was there from Wednesday through Sunday, and during the entire event, you know, being that we're in Ohio, we had a whole bunch of weather from light rain to thunderstorms. So that was a little bit of a nuisance, but it's nothing that the hookah heads can't handle. We're used to mud. I'm guessing that there was probably about 1,000 to 1,200 neighbors there, and they were there to see all three eras of the band with special appearances by a whole slew of guests, including Nat Reeb, Ed McGee, Phil Risco, Ralph Mouth, drummer from Glowstick Willie, Phil Clark on harmonica sat in for a song, Don Safrenic was on auxiliary percussion through the entire thing, and then there were even late night unplugged sets that included Austin and Sid from Austin and the Sid Experience, Dustin Smith from Dustin Smith and the Daydreamers, and this young dude named Finney McKee, who I don't know, but was really impressive and really had a lot of people at the festival talking. Before we get into all of that, I want to start with a clip from Ed McGee's set because it was one of the first sets of the weekend. Ed is actually a New Hampshire native, and he's acclaimed for his work as a singer-songwriter and rhythm guitarist, not just on his own, but with hookah during the late 90s and early 2000s. And that's for all the folks who might not be familiar with the hookah timeline and history. But during that time, in the late 90s and early 2000s, that was when I actually got really into Ekoostik Hookah. Ed actually had the chance with the band to share stages with the likes of legends like Willie Nelson, Arlo Guthrie, Bob Weir, Bruce Hornsby, and many, many others. So definitely enjoyed this number. It's one of my favorite.
I didn't have the Roost on my list, but I could maybe make an exception. Guy wants to hear the Risk, so. Undertow. I close my eyes and dive down deep, stir a starfish, rub and sleep as I'm opening my eyes. A hammerhead swims by, I hide behind a coral reef with tiger fish in disbelief. Even as I say, you can't get much worse than this. I'd rather reach, maybe miss. I'd rather reach, but maybe miss. See, that's the beauty of the risk. I leave the car to walk around and hear the Serengeti sound. Ignore the posted signs and rules and all those warnings for the fools. And as I'm gazing at the sun, I hear it tranquilize a gun. Just as an angry pride of lions, they cut across the red horizon. But even as I fall into the dark, the abyss, I'd rather reach than maybe miss. I'd rather reach than maybe miss. You see, that's the beauty of the risk. It's a matter of what you choose to endure. The ridicule and behind your back laughter as you find brilliance in what's still their darkness. All the mystery of what could have happened as you settle for safety, and you trade your wings in for a cane. When you trade your wings in for a cane, when you trade your wings in for a cane, when you trade your wings in for a cane. I leave the burning mountainside in clear October wind and glide, and with such altitude and speed from earthly pain and tide, I feel I'm free from I plummet to the tree. Me stripped of sensibilities, and laughing at my fresh mistake, I crash land in Hookahville. Even as my instincts, they cry out, hesitate, resist. I'd rather reach than maybe miss. I'd rather reach than maybe miss. But even as I say, it can't get much worse than this. I'd rather reach than maybe miss. Even as I fall into the dark, the abyss, I'd rather reach than maybe miss. 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 See, that's the beauty. Thank you.
Ed's set was absolutely fantastic and such a great way to start the weekend. And if you want to see more numbers from his set, go ahead and head on over to the YouTube channel and look for the playlist that is live performances. There's going to be a bunch of different performances from Ed up there, including The Giant, which is another one of my favorite songs, as well as Alexander 2, which is one of the best ghost stories you've ever heard put to music. So definitely enjoy those. But as for the rest of the festival, this was a good one, folks. Roost on the River definitely has this shit down. Hats off to Devon White for putting on just one hell of a festival. It's so easy to get to this venue, and it's easy to get in and out, and you're right near a town. So if you need anything during the festival, it's a short skip over to downtown Newark, where you can find gas stations, stores, convenience stores, and even hotels for folks that don't want to do the camping. And the camping's great. It's a big field in the middle of Newark, Ohio, but there's plenty of space for everybody. My best guess is that there is probably a cap at this venue of about 2,000 to 3,000 people, and that would be jamming it in with tents and parking everybody really close, but you could definitely get them in there. There's plenty of room. The stage is unusual for a venue of this size. I've been to a lot of small venues, and Devon and his team really put a hell of a lot of effort into building this massive stage that very much mimics the design of Legend Valley. All they have to do is add wings, and you pretty much have Legend Valley's stage on a smaller scale. But a really great stage, really great for video, made my job a lot easier. There were top-notch lights, a huge lighting ring that they hauled up, and you'll see this in the videos, with about 3 or 4 guys doing different light configurations throughout the entire festival. That was a lot of fun. And best in class sound. Really enjoyed the way that the sound was all weekend. Hats off to another Nate who was doing the sound. There was a lot of Nates there apparently. But yeah, again, kudos to everybody at Roost on the River for really, I think Newark ought to pay attention to these guys, because as an economic driver for the city, they can now have larger scale concerts, larger scale festivals, and there's revenue that comes into the town for that. So I really hope that folks from Newark City Council are watching this, because as a fan, as somebody who covers a lot of festivals, Devon's doing it right, and you would be wise to jump on this guy's bandwagon, because he's building an entertainment venue that's going to be hugely popular, and the city has a lot to benefit from that in terms of incoming revenue and awareness and all the good stuff that comes with being able to throw those types of events. From a logistical standpoint, this was a very, very well organized Hookahville. I really liked the layout. What was nice is that all the vendors were arranged in almost this like wagon train. It was kind of a square that wrapped around the bowl. So the entire festival, you had plenty of space to move. There was place for the jugglers and the spinners and the hula hoopers and all that stuff. But you did feel kind of contained. It was almost like the vendors, the merch vendors and the food vendors were hugging you in a sense. And that made it really nice. And then camp was behind that. And again, plenty of space to camp, lots of rows. And what's great about a Hookahville is it's so relaxed that if you forget something, if you need to skip out, you can come and go as you please. You just got to check in with the gate. They'll check your wristband. I had to leave for a graduation party. I was able to get back in with no problems at all. So that's a super convenient, relaxed thing to do, if you can't stay the whole weekend. A couple suggestions that I had from talking with folks from the crowd. One of the things they'll hopefully pay attention to in the future is really increasing the availability of fresh water. So there was fresh water there, but it was a little bit scarce, and there's ways to do that. That would definitely be something that would make it a little bit more convenient for folks. They don't have to haul that all in themselves. The other thing that happened is in the field, because it is a bowl and it sits right next to a river, so I have to imagine it's a floodplain, is that by the second day after all that rain, the actual walking area, in between the tents and the paths there was not bad. But the main roads in and out of the venue became a mud pit, right? And that's going to happen when you have trailers and cars and porta pots and, everything driving over them. People were getting stuck. So in the future, when the budget, permits it, definitely think about putting some stone down or cinder or something very similar to like what the Caverns does in Tennessee. So what I like about the Caverns is they're the same type of a situation, very low-lying land around mountains, and it can get really muddy. So they basically created a grid system with cinder roads and stone roads, and that ensures that, it's not going to be too soggy when you go to pull out. It's going to reduce the amount of tractor pulls that you have to do to get people out of the mud. So that's one thing to think about too. And the other thing that I think this venue could really do in the future as they develop is look at things like AT&T fiber internet or any of the fiber providers, just for the ability to do, 500 to 1,000 megabytes up or whatever that is, because that's going to enable live streaming. It would not be hard. The stage is close enough to the buildings, both a business and a home, that you could actually run a fiber line directly to the stage, have fiber and the ability to plug into the stage, which is going to completely enable live streaming and make that very, very easy. And that's going to be another revenue stream for the venue and for the bands as well. So those are the only suggestions that I would have. But in terms of a review of the venue, I think it's going to be a place to be. I really do think that Devon and his team have struck gold on this place, and I'm excited to see what happens with Roost on the River in the coming years. In terms of activities, there was a lot going on. So there were plenty of workshops. There were plenty of things to do in between sets. One of the workshops was yoga and sound meditation, sound bath. And that was very cool to watch. There was a lot of people participating in that. And then there was also the Hot Box podcast going on with my new friend, Rick Pickle. Cool dude. I got to talk with him. So check out this clip from my interview with Rick about what he's doing with the Hot Box podcast.
Hey guys, I'm Rick Pay, Sticky Rick, Hot Box Podcast. This is my best friend and my business partner, Josh Holsberry.
Nice.
Hello.
Glad to have you guys on. So, like you said, you started coming to Hookah in 21?
Yeah, 2021 Paul Hookah in Brushy Fork. And actually it was my buddy here who invited me to go out with him to Hookahville. And I've never been before. I've heard about Hookahville because my younger brother married somebody from Ohio. And I would hear him talk about Hookahville and festivals and stuff like that, but never experienced it until 2021. And this is actually my 8th Hookahville in a row now since 2021. I've been to every one single since, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's freaking outstanding. Where else can you go to a music festival and have freaking killer artists camping right next to you?
Yeah.
I mean, no place but this place.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome. That's us. That's Hookahville. That's killer.
And it would not be a Hookahville if there were not theme nights. And this has become a very popular thing to do at festivals across the board. Maybe it was started by Ekoostik Hookah way back when. I don't know. But there were theme nights at this Hookahville. Thursday night was Pajama Jam, which was a lot of fun. Folks running around being very comfortable in their pajamas. Friday was Mystic Masquerade, and I really enjoyed that one because of the creativity of the crowd. People brought out some really crazy masks and full masquerade ball gear. It was really interesting to see camp dance around like that. And then Saturday was Interstellar Illumination, which is always one of my favorites because all the glow sticks, all the glow toys came out. People wearing, my friend Lisa was wearing those glow wings. They're like angel wings that have LEDs, and those are always fun to see. You'll see a lot of this in the aerial footage and the different videos and whatnot. But I really did dig the theme nights at Hookahville this year. I thought they were well played, and it's fun to see everybody participate in these. So I typically go to these festivals alone when I'm doing videos and interviews and things like that, but this was a little bit different. After the Trifesta sweepstakes was over, our winners, Holly and Joe McName, I ended up becoming friends with them. They're cool folks. They live up in Van Wert, Ohio, and we go to a lot of the same festivals. So they actually camped in my trailer with me, and that was a lot of fun having them around. Great people. And then we had regular neighbors stopping by, including Belzebars and a dude named Wombat that was really, really cool. Got to hang out with them a lot. The other thing I like about these festivals is that if you go to enough of them and you're there long enough, you're probably going to end up with a nickname. And there's always an interesting story about how you got said nickname. Neighbor Nate actually was not something that I made up. It was a nickname given to me by Little John back at Hookahville. I believe that was Hookahville 50. That might have been the one that Billy played. But there's a whole story behind it. I won't go into it now for time, but that's something to pay attention to at festivals, is that not a lot of people actually go by their God-given name or their legal name. You have the opportunity to make up a persona, to make up a name and go by that, or have somebody make up a name for you. And so check that out the next time you're at a festival, and pay attention to it at Hookahville, because that's kind of how you start to get to know everybody. And I promise that I have to try to move through this section quickly, but I would be remiss not to give shout outs to all the cool Hookah Head brothers and sisters that I got to hang out with when I was there. It's really nice to know that there's this whole family of people that surrounds this idea of no hassles or bad attitudes, right? I think the world would be a lot better place if there were no hassles and bad attitudes. And so that's the lesson that you can take from Hookahville and the song Hookahville, is that look at the lyrics of that song. It's kind of a manifesto to live by, not just to go to a festival, but really, like Dave said, this utopian environment that we all could choose to live in if we just followed simple guidelines that are in that song. So check out the song Hookahville and you'll get what I'm talking to. But I do want to give shout outs to a whole bunch of people. So a hat tip to Jennifer Combs, got to meet her, and she is nearing the end of a long series of cancer treatments, and she's almost out of the woods with that. So I was so excited to get to see her dancing right against the rail up front, painted her head with a flower and actually had a bee land on it that thought it was a cool flower. So that was pretty cool. I do want to give hat tip to Melissa Logan and her husband from Festy Life Rugs. They walked up to me in the middle of the afternoon and handed me this beautiful rug that has the Music Festivals podcast logo on it. It was handmade by them, part of their business that they vend there. And I almost got choked up because it was so cool. And they even thought to take the E in festivals and flip it upside down to make a schwa as a little Easter egg nod to Ekoostik Hookah. So that was super cool. Thank you so much to Melissa Logan, her husband, and the Festy Life Rugs folks. I also want to give special props to my buddy Joe McName, who painted me this really cool custom Hookahville 60 painting. Worked on it all weekend and then gave it to me at the end of the weekend. So that was super cool. Other shout outs go to Austin Johnson and Sid Alexa. So these are the folks from Austin and the Sid Experience who are bringing acid funk into the world. You can catch them at Lazy Jam number 7. That's coming up in September in Indiana, Hartsville, Indiana. And if you are looking for a great small festival to go to, definitely try to get your tickets for Lazy Jam. You'll see Austin and the Sid Experience. You'll get to see Ekoostik Hookah play again, and you'll also get to see a band called Magnolia Boulevard that I saw last year that I really enjoyed. But OJ Wilson and his whole crew do a great festival out there at Lazy Acres. So check out Lazy Jam number 7 in September. And then again, too, hat tip to OJ Wilson for all he does for the hookah community and for the Lazy Jam community. I don't think the dude ever sits still. He's a great guy. I want to give shouts to Jeff Mullet Morris and Leanne. Got to see them, and they are some of the most enthusiastic Ekoostik Hookah fans. You'll see Jeff with his air guitar rocking to the band at every show. Really enjoyed getting to hang out with them a little bit. And shouts to Tish Pennington too. Aside from being Steve Sweeney's girlfriend, she is one of the nicest folks that you've ever met and very, very welcoming to anybody who comes into the Ekoostik Hookah crowd. I also want to give shouts to Ed McGee, not only for doing great performances all weekend, but letting me shoot it and letting me actually put the stuff on my channel. Super cool that I get to host some of Ed's videos on Music Festivals podcast and the website. And I also have to shout to the band, Dave, Eric, Steve, Sarge, Matt, Don, and their guest Ralph Malf all weekend. Ralph is drummer from Glowstick Willie. Just incredible performances all weekend and really cool seeing them hang around camp and kind of, mingle around with everybody. I'm giving shouts to Ed and Lacey McLaughlin. So these are the folks who I've been friends with for 20 years that got me into Ekoostik Hookah. And I say this very, very earnestly. That was a life-changing event for me. They got me into Ekoostik Hookah, which led to jam bands, which led to festivals, which pretty much made me the person that I am today, or at least in terms of like what I love to do. So that, and 20 years later, we're still going to the same festival together. It's really, really cool. I'm glad that, we can still do that together. I want to give shouts to Molly Gandauer as well. I hope I pronounced that right. Gandauer. She's also doing a documentary on the hookah community that will hopefully be out, in the near future. And I'm very excited to see what that looks like, because if you look at her film background and what she's been able to accomplish in her career, she's a real filmmaker. I'm a novice amateur doing the best I can, but I'm excited to see what she comes up with because it's going to be good. And I also want to give a shout to Chris Powers of Chris Powers Productions. So this dude was up there hooking up the Ustream when I completely failed at trying to live stream the event. He was able to get it through his phone, hoist it in the air, and get the whole thing on Ustream as well. I definitely want to reconnect with Chris and see what he's up to in terms of, maybe how we can work together. And then also my buddy, Will Bradford. I only got to see him for a little bit, but Will makes a lot of great t-shirts and sells them in and around these festivals. I have a couple of his Ekoostik Hookah t-shirts. So hats off to Will. And it was good to see him. I'm sure I'll see him at Lazy Jam again. And then finally, Kat Turtle and Jim Garibaldi and the rest of the JSG and Ekoostik Hookah production team and crew and volunteers. These guys were literally hopping around all weekend, continuously solving plumbing problems that were caused by weather and just mishaps that happen at these festivals. And yet they never got ruffled. They stayed calm. They made it through. They found solutions, and everybody had a great time. And all of this would not happen if it wasn't for Kat and Jim and their whole team. So hats off to those guys too. That's all I have for this week, folks. It's a little bit of a longer episode, so I'm going to let you out with what I think is a very, very appropriate song for this weekend and for Ekoostik Hookah. This is from the Hookah 3.0 performance on Saturday night. This is one of my favorites. Smile and Sing.
It's up to me to bring to myself